Hi, I'm Jamain Hatton, and this is my Tempest Addendum. This addendum wishes to correct misinformation that might have been featured in last video, as well as to add some new information that I have unearthed that will seem to help our CXC students a little bit more. So let's go straight into it. So we're continuing here with the Tempest. This is the addendum. Before we get into the actual review, I would like you to recommend this channel to a Form 4 student who will be writing CXC English B in the year 2019. Let them get a head start and their preparation for that exam. So go ahead and tag them in this video, or go ahead and email, WhatsApp, or text them this video, whatever it takes for them to get a head start on 2019 exams. So The Tempest is a romantic comedy that was written in the 17th century, and a tempest by definition is generally a stormy sea or a terrible storm that happens at sea. It surrounds the character Prospero, and he generally summons a mighty tempest to revenge his wrong that he was done while he was the Duke of Milan. In this video, we look at Ariel, we look at the main plot and then the supported subplots, and we'll also have a look at the sample CXE question. The question will be taken from CXE specimen paper, and I'll give you my take of a sample answer to that same sample question. One of the corrections I wish to make from my last video would be the sex of Ariel. Most of the literature referred to him as male. Uh, my last video talked about Ariel being female. My apologies for that. If you haven't listened though to the previous video, a link will be in the description there to that, as well as a card will be on the top right. You can go ahead and listen to that. It went into depth. So let's go on to look at exactly who Ariel is, and hopefully we get a better understanding of who this Ariel character is, because he plays a very important role in getting the work of Prospero completed. All right. So Ariel, with the origin of Ariel, Ariel was actually a slave to Slickerax that happens to be the mother of Caliban. And Prospero freed Ariel from the enslavement, if I can say that, of or enslavement to Slickerax. And now Ariel is a servant to Prospero. So in other words, it's Ariel's moving male, of course. Ariel, he's moving from one master to another master, and he's basically worshiping, or he's basically uh, doing what Prospero wants him to do. He's serving Prospero because Prospero promises him his freedom in the end. And of course, at the end of the drama, he was awarded that freedom. Okay, good. So the main plot surrounds Prospero seeking revenge on his brother, as well as the King of Naples, for basically removing him from the dukedom of Milan, or from the duke post of Milan. We see that the revenge is being sought on persons who are in a boat, and they are now going to be stranded on the island, the same island that Prospero is on. This main plot is supported by subplots. Let's have a look now at some of those subplots. So we see one in the sense of Antonio's greed for power, another in Alonso's support of Antonio, hostile takeover of the dukedom of Milan. We also see one in the love of Ferdinand and Miranda. Then we also turn to the plots to kill Alonso as well as Prospero. And of course, two different people wanted to kill Alonso and Prospero. Prospero apparently is a very popular killing character because this is the second time somebody wanted to kill him, and yet the second plot failed as well as the first one. The first one, as we know clearly, was when his brother Antonio, wanted to kill him because he wanted power. That greed for power we talked about earlier, that is the first plot to kill Prospero. The second plot came about where Calibra and Caliban and Stefano and Trinculo tried to concoct a plan to kill Prospero. Of course, Ariel was in the midst, and as a result, he would have prevented that from happening. So we see as well Caliban and Ariel's quest for freedom is another subplot, and it tells us a great deal. So if you want to have a better understanding of what this here symbolizes, Caliban and Ariel's quest for freedom, make sure you listen to the end of this because you will have a good representation of how colonization comes into play here. Prospero's forgiveness and mercy. So in the end, Prospero brilliantly forgives everyone, and he has mercy on people that might not have done all that was right by him. But again, the entire play really was Prospero's mastermind, and we have an idea that from the start of it, it really was a play within a play. What do I mean by that? We see that the play was written by William Shakespeare, but in the play written by William Shakespeare, Prospero was actually controlling or directing the movement of other characters within the play. It's a play within a play, if you understand what I'm saying there. So we have a now a look at the plots to kill. We will start with the plot to kill Alonso. Another correction here, it's Act 2, Scene 1. So in Act 2, Scene 1, we see Antonio and Sebastian are insensitive to Alonso's loss of his son. So not Sebastian, Ferdinand couldn't have been found after the ship wrecked, uh, Sebastian, who is Alonso's brother, was insensitive, and we know Antonio is Prospero's brother, so they failed to feel empathy for Alonso when he was sad of the loss of his son, or the apparent loss of his son. So they said that it's Alonso's fault that the tempest actually occurred because he didn't want his daughter to marry the African. Yes, if you read the story, you would understand what I'm talking about there. Once on the island, Ariel's spell put everyone to sleep except those two characters. So Antonio and Sebastian were the only ones not sleeping. And as a result, Antonio convinced Sebastian to kill Alonso. Remember, Alonso is the brother of Sebastian. So we can see a repeat of what happened at the start. Remember, at the start, Prospero was stranded on this island as a result of Antonio's wicked plan to kill Prospero. He wanted to kill Prospero, but the mercy of Galanzo saved Prospero. Alright, so here he is now asking or suggesting or convincing Sebastian to kill another brother, Sebastian's brother, Alonso. So this is similar to what happened when he became the Duke of Milan. So Ariel was in the midst when this plot was occurring, and I'm saying she again, my apologies. Ariel, the name sounds female, huh? Ariel caused Alonso and Gonzalo to awake. So when they awoke, they realized that Sebastian and Antonio had swords to their heads, about to kill them, and then they made up a very terrible plan about, or their terrible story, how they heard weird songs and they were investigating. Of course, they didn't buy it very much. So that was the plot to kill Alonso. Now, the plot to kill Prospero. This happens in Act 3, Scene 2. Thanks for the correction there. Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo were drunk. At this point, they were drunk, and Stefano assumes, so he calls himself uh, he calls himself the Lord of the island and made Caliban his servant. So here we're seeing that Caliban is somebody else's servant. So he's a servant and then he's a servant of another servant. Let's not go on to that anyway. Stefano wondered how Prospero can be defeated, and Caliban suggested burning the magic books. So it's at this point that we have an understanding that it was the magic books that were giving Prospero his power. And Caliban appreciated or accepted the truth of the magic books being the source of Prospero's power. As a result, he was just burning them, and they were planning to attack him in the afternoon when he took his nap. Caliban encouraged Stefano by telling him that he is the king of the island, and when he's king, he will actually marry the queen, and the queen will be Miranda. So I can see why he agrees. So because Stefano wanted to have Miranda's hand in marriage, so I guess that was it for him to be convinced. However, Ariel again, he was in the midst and he stopped the plot, and as a result, the plot did not succeed because again, Ariel is the right hand man in the spirit world to Prospero. So the plot was unsuccessful. We have a little romance. There must be a Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare's play. Ferdinand and Miranda. So their love story, remember, it was Prospero caused a shipwreck to occur, and this shipwreck led to Ferdinand, and of course he was guided to where Prospero was. Prospero and Miranda were by Ariel again. And when Ferdinand saw Miranda, it was love at first sight. So the two fell in love, and when the two fell in love, it was actually completing Prospero's plans. Even though Prospero appeared to not want Ferdinand to marry Miranda, it was in his plan. He played his plan really well. Because the plan was rather to get the two to get married, so that when they go back to Milan, they will be one big happy family, and that would make Prospero become king again or duke again. So the sample question, I referred to the sample question previously. Now I'm going to give you a sample answer to this question. So write an essay in which you describe two different types of relationships in the play. In this essay, you must also discuss one theme that is portrayed, and in any one of the relationships you describe, that is, and examine one dramatic technique used by Shakespeare to present the relationships in the play as a whole, relationships in the play as a whole. Let's go ahead and look at a sample answer. So I'm going to give you this breakdown. So there's types of relationship. The types of relationship is father-daughter relationship, and that is in the sense of Prospero and Miranda. We see master-servant relationship, and it's two, one with Prospero and Caliban, and one with Prospero and Ariel. Both of these individuals were servants, but Caliban was actually more rebellious than Ariel because Caliban actually wanted to kill Prospero, so we can see that it's more rebellious. He actually was plotting to kill. So he was had a hatred for Prospero. Ariel was more submissive. Ariel, because she was promised her servitude, so she was more sub. I'm saying she again. I'm sorry. He was more submissive. Again, Ariel is male. CX is gonna accept it as male. Please don't listen to me and say she. My apologies. I know a friend by the name of Ariel, so I guess that's why I'm saying she. Siblings. So we have Prosper and Antonio were siblings, and Alonso and Sebastian were also siblings. And there we see that there's a hatred between those siblings. One sibling wanted the dukeship and the other wanted the kingship. So Sebastian tried to kill Alonso for that kingship, and we see that Antonio was briefly successful in getting rid of Prospero to assume the dukeship. And of course, the love, Miranda and Ferdinand, we've talked about already. So there's also devices here. We have imagery. We can look at imagery in the sense of supernatural, the powers that Ariel brings to the table. The shipwreck is another image, and the clasping of the hands. Refer to my last video here, and you will get an understanding of what I'm talking about when I talk about imagery. So this is the device. Another set of device in the play is the C and the symbols, rather. Symbols, and we see symbols in the sense of C, and we see symbols in the sense of book. You can pause this here and you can have a look at what was mentioned in the last video, or you can move on. So the themes, loyalty and betrayal, colonization, we have supernatural and magic, and revenge. There are many others, but these are four that we can probably think about at the back of our heads. So the sample question again, you can pause this and read it for yourself. So here's my sample response to that sample question. William Shakespeare's The Tempest is a 17th century drama that thrives on different types of relationships. Members of the audience of the exciting drama can see many different types of relationships: father, daughters, master servant, siblings, and even a slice of love romance. Each of these types of relationships teaches us something new and exciting, and that grammar is correct. It sounds wrong, but it's correct. You can listen to my video on grammar, and you'll get an understanding of why. The master-slave relationship between Caliban and Prospero taught us that some slaves can be completely submissive while others can be rebellious. Ariel, the airy spirit, was submissive to Prospero while Caliban was rebellious. The audience sees that Prospero, the master, verbally and physically abuses Caliban. He is put to do hard labor, fetching wood, making fire, etc. Sadly, this was not always the case. In fact, at the start, when Prospero and his daughter arrived on the island, it was Caliban that showed them hospitality. But it was not long after their arrival that Prospero used his magic to control the island. And in doing controlling the island, he controlled Caliban. This, many believe, is an innuendo of how innuendo mean a hint. It's a dramatic device. No, it's a figurative device. So the hint of something, a hinting to something. So again, this is a not. This many believe is an innuendo of how the European enslaved the New World. We see Caliban hated and cursed Prospero. He capitalized on the first opportunity to be a part of a plot to murder Prospero. Another relationship type is seen in the play is that of siblings. These, however, are not your loving siblings. In fact, the play is full of sibling rivalry. Many At the start of the play, we see Prospero being usurped by his brother from the dukedom of Milan. Antonio initially wanted him dead, but it was the mercy of Galazzo. You can add a description there. I can't think of one right now. You can add a description there of Galazzo that saved his life. While coming from a wedding en route to Italy, Prospero orchestrated a tempest that caused the ship carrying Antonio, Alonso, and others to be shipwrecked on his island. So the island where who? The island where Prospero was where they were shipwrecked on. Antonio convinced Alonso's brother Sebastian to murder Alonso to become the king of Naples. Terrible, right? Yeah, terrible siblings. So we are looking at the theme part of it now. So colonization is an interesting theme in The Tempest. The Tempest shows that the relationship between Europe and natives on islands in the 17th century and even after. Uh, let's read it again. The Tempest shows the relationship between Europe and the natives on islands in the 17th century and even after. Prospero symbolized the colonizer or the oppressor, while Caliban and Ariel represented the indigenous peoples that were servants to Europe. And though the slaves hated their master, they could have done very little to get away from the terrible period of slavery. We see that Caliban hated Prospero, just like the natives hated colonizers, while Ariel is submissive and later on was released from servitude. Servitude, therefore, was at the mercy uh, servitude was therefore the mercy of the white colonizer. Pathetic, huh? Indeed. This is just as what happened during slavery, is it not? It is. The islands, countries colonized by Europe, were freed when Europe thought it was enough. That's true. It's very much true. So I did this one here because many persons might not see this as a theme, and I think it's a very good one. It gives the idea of what the book might actually be hinting to, though they. Though many persons say that William Shakespeare was racist, you didn't hear that from me. I am putting this here, so yeah. One dramatic technique used by Shakespeare is symbolism. Particularly, we see the magic books were used as a symbol of Prospero's magic and power. It is through these books that Prospero was able to control the characters within the play. It was through these books, and we see repetition there, it was through these books that Prospero was able to create a play within a play. In Act 3, Scene 2, we can see that Caliban respected the powers of the books as a source of Prospero's power and control. He knew that destroying the book was the only way that Prospero could be killed, though their plan failed. Yes, we know their plans failed because Ariel was around and Ariel, again, was serving Prospero, so of course she would make her master die. Many believe that Prospero represented William Shakespeare himself, and at the end of the play, Prospero's destruction of his own books and the symbolized the end of his magic, and it also symbolizes the end of William Shakespeare's writing career. Good. So that's my sample answer there. You can modify this as much as you want to. You can add anything you want. You can take out what you want to take out. This is just a sample guiding you as to where you go. Hope this helps. Really hope this helps. So go ahead and like this video, go ahead and comment. Let your Form 4 colleagues, let your friends in the lower class who will be writing the exams in 2019 get a hold of this video and start their preparations early. I see a surge in the views recently, but I think we can start earlier than this. If we start earlier than this, we can get to grade 1 from a very early stage and not pressure ourselves coming down to the end. So go ahead and let them subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think and let me know what grade you get when the results come out in August. Best wishes in the exam on Friday. And today is the 8th day of May in the year 2018, and is the day when English A was written, CX English A was written. I hope you did well. Let me know what you think of the exam. Let's form a conversation. And I'm planning a prize. I'm planning a prize for persons that get grade 1s at English B. So the first person, I shouldn't say persons, I plan the first person to show proof of them getting a grade 1 English B will be awarded a gift prize, online gift card. I'll tell you more about that as we get closer to the results. Goodbye.